All right, it's Friday. It's Natalia's birthday. She's got a phone case that matches her shirt, which is cool. Like this is a good day. It's a little snow here. It's warm for most of you guys.
I enjoy my 89 Fahrenheit.
Woo. Woo. All right, cool. All right, Adrian. Well, I got you on here, man. What's one of the pillars of the GC Realty experience?
It would be the right customer solution.
All right. Which time? The first time?
Yeah.
All right. Gabe, what's another pillar?
I'm sorry, I had to find the mute button. Ease of doing business.
Ease of doing business. All right. All right. Mayor Cruz, what's your favorite one? Which one do you think you can do the easiest, I guess? Let me ask that question.
The remarkable customer experience.
Oh my gosh. You got, yeah, you're good. You got that that voice too. You got like that, like want to help people and you help me voice. So I love it. So all right, guys. Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome. Friday 25. Core values. I don't know if you guys we have the town hall every month, and you guys, everyone know where to find the browse. Does everyone know what browse stands for?
Yes.
Javier, my own guy on my own team, doesn't know what that is. Do you not know what that is?
I know, I don't.
All right, that's fine. I've never told you, so it is my bad no matter what. But so browse, where you guys go where you call out other people for doing different things, is just the acronym for the core values. So that's if you're ever trying to remember that. I guess my point of bringing it up is if you're ever trying to remember the core values, if you can't remember them like exactly, or maybe you can't think of the fourth one, which is a different problem, but I'll let you decide while we're going through these early kind of getting on board side. You can always remember browse, and that's the acronym for the first four for that. So make sense?
Yep, you got to say what they are.
What's that?
Just go through them, you know.
All right, Rod.
Better.
What's the B stand for?
Better is
Cecilia, what's the R stand for?
responsiveness.
All right. Mayor Cruz. O.
Own it.
All right. And W.
Whatever it takes.
Apostrophe S. Sam. You all. No, I'm joking. There's no apostrophe. Awesome. Awesome.
S and takes.
Awesome. All right, cool. You know, one thing we went over, something that kind of came up this week as we're trying to, and last week we went over the functional side of things. And one thing that I tweaked this week in the definition is, and it came up through a couple different examples of, well, it's functional, it works. And it came down to installed properly and works. So yes, a door hanging off one hinge still does technically close and still does technically block cold air from coming in, but it's not installed properly. So I added that definition on the website. I just reworded it a little, and I just want to kind of bring that up as a recap from last week of the definition of functional. One thing before we go on, I'm recording these every single week. And if you're not here, obviously, if you're not here today, you can't answer the question. But if you've missed them in the past, your manager, or I know I've sent them out there. We have them also on the YouTube page as well, too, which you have access to. So if you do miss, watch it. And then if you have any questions that come from it, then definitely check with your manager or myself. All right, so I got a question for you guys before we get going on. What we're going to talk about today is safe, the safe part of clean, safe, and functional. But my question is more general. Friday 25. So this is week 6. Give me feedback. What do you guys think? Is this like, are you guys pissed that we take 25 minutes out of your Friday? Like, are you learning stuff? Like, I'd love to hear some feedback on what you guys think as far as the time we're spending together each Friday talking about these different topics.
I think it's a great use of time touching on subjects that we don't normally talk about that are like super important or critical, even critical to the operation. The only change I would make is adding like a real case as an example on whenever possible on each thing. That way we learn through shared experience. Something I do in my huddle sometimes is we just discuss any like issue somebody's stuck on or the solution as a team. So maybe they didn't happen to you, but next time it happens to you, you remember when they talked about it. So just providing an example, like a real case scenario with a real tenant name, we can look at the numbers or whatever, just to see, okay, what should have we done differently? Why didn't we succeed in doing the GC experience in this case? And we can chime in a little bit. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think in some cases it would be very useful.
That's good. People remember stories. People remember examples, probably more so than they remember preaching. So I appreciate that feedback. That's good. I wrote it down.
I like the subject matter, and I think that what I really like is hearing the different like interpretation of the subject matter from each of the different departments. So like the way that I view functional and why it's important that I understand it is a lot different than why the maintenance team might need to understand functional or why the PM team might need to understand functional. So the more the subject matter can be heard from, I guess, the different departments, I think it's important to understand how the whole operation is working together.
Cool. And then I have a list of topics to go through for like the next like 6 weeks or so, but not necessarily because of the right one. So if there's ever anybody's like, hey man, listen, I hear this talked about all the time, or I'm sick of talking about this. Can we talk about this so we're all on the same page type stuff? Like I'm down for feedback on that too on a weekly basis. So might not be able to get it that week. Maybe I plan something out, but I'm always willing to adjust if it's something urgent as well too. So I'm open for that. All right, cool. Thanks for that feedback. And then anyone that, if you have anything negative and you didn't want to say out loud, feel free to reach out to me as well too. So I'll make sure I'll put that out there for you. Cool. Safe, clean, safe. We're going over safe today. And functional. We'll talk safe. Talk to me about Alejandro, like safe. What is safety when it comes to our property standards?
I think he went to talk and he accidentally hit the wrong button because it says he left.
All right. Eduardo,
go.
what's safety as when it comes to standards to you? No, he's getting ready to hang up too.
I can go.
All right, cool. Shana.
For me, I would say avoiding danger or risk on a tenant.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Anything that doesn't cause harm, and I'm also going to echo what Shania said, making sure it doesn't cause risks.
Cool. Alejandro, you want to try again?
Yes, I'm sorry. My electricity went out. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I didn't hear anything if you called me out.
Safe. We talk about safe. What does safe mean as far as our property standards go?
Safe, I would say, I would mainly look at stairs, making sure that the railings are actually safe and they have some structure on it, that if you lean on it, it's not just going to crack, it's not just going to bend. I would also say that if the stairs are outside, making sure, especially when it snows, that you put some salt on it. So there's less way of people slipping. So I would mainly look at stairs.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, you guys are all kind of right to, you guys are all on the same page with that. Safe. I'll tell you this, my career, 20 years, I did not appreciate safety the first 10 years. It's like, what do you need a light out back for? Or like, what do you need a security storm door for? I'll admit, I've definitely matured in that sense of the feeling that we want people to have that safety part. That's not like that's not a negotiable piece usually. And you can talk about safety as far as what we're talking about today, but like when a tenant calls up, it feels they're not safe about a light bulb or a light that's been burned out, or light they can't just get to work in the back, or the storm door that doesn't close all the way. Like those are real, even though they might not categorize as far as high priority on ours, and actually it might, but sometimes it's hard to put into that box. Those are still really, really high priority to our residents. So that's one thing I'll just kind of share as a story. I never, especially when we used to rehab properties, like, if we don't got to put a storm door, then that's a few $100 extra bucks. Or, if we don't got to put that light on the fixture out there, that's one less thing we got to worry about turnover. It's like, I wasn't looking at it the right way. And I think I only learned that from hearing the emotion in people's voices and their concerns when they actually are scared a lot of times with certain things. And everyone's scared of different things, right? Some people are scared of neighborhoods, dark, mice, you get another kind of fear you hear in your tenants, the residents' voices when it comes to pests. Like, oh my, like people are just deathly afraid of those sometimes. So I guess the point I'll make there is sometimes things that are not necessarily high risk or emergencies or high priority to us, sometimes that's theirs. And you have to sometimes, that's what you're actually talking to them about solving. So keep in mind. But yeah, safe, as far as, I always look at safe as the category. It's like, I don't want to end up on the news because we didn't do one of these things. I don't want to end up in front of the judge because we didn't do one of these things. And I think the first one that jumps out to me is the smoke and CO detectors. Now, does anybody know any of the laws around the smoke and CO detectors for the state of Illinois, I guess?
Well, there was a recently update on that law, and now you need to replace all those detectors with, include the ones that have battery that you can't replace it, that just go to the store and buy new batteries.
Yeah.
Someone help them out there?
Yeah, Shay just, the sealed ones.
Yep. All right, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, so you got that. CO, what's the CO? Like state law? I mean, this might even be a national law, the CO detectors.
Won't they have to be within 15 feet of every sleeping room?
Let me ask you guys a question this. What is CO? Rods, do you know what CO is?
Carbon monoxide.
What's that?
Carbon
You're
monoxide.
asking the science girl.
Oh, yeah, right. All right, so CO. So let me ask you guys this question, because we might not all be on the same page of this. Like, where does carbon dioxide come from? What in the unit, where is it coming from?
Gas appliances.
Okay, so gas
Furnace.
appliances, where else?
Furnace.
Gas furnace, right?
Hot water heater.
Gas hot water heater, yep.
Gas stove.
Yep, we got that one.
Dryer.
Gas dryer, yep.
Gas meter. Sorry, I didn't mute myself.
So anything gas.
So
Yeah, you're
sometimes-
catching it. A gas fireplace is the other one.
I was gonna say sometimes things that tenants bring in if they have a heater system.
Yeah, some of the portable things, if it's gas. So all these things related to gas. If you have an all electric unit, technically you don't have to have that, but we still at least put one in there. But yeah, so any of these gas things, and this is crazy. Like, this has only been like a law for like the last 15 years. A lot of people, I remember when I was a kid, there was like a big thing every winter, like people dying from carbon dioxide before they actually made this even a law. So this is actually a pretty new law to the States, considering like how crazy it is. But yeah, so that ends up being the safety thing. Like the last thing, carbon dioxide, Rod, do you want to tell us anything more about carbon dioxide of why it's such a danger?
It is something that comes from any fossil fuel, so it can be lethal to anyone once you inhale it.
Yeah, but you don't know it's there. That's the lethal part. Like you might get a headache, but people get headaches all the time, so you're not realizing you're being poisoned at the same time. My personal family, so growing up, they had a ranch in Streamwood, not far from here. And the carbon dioxide started leaking. This before detectors were forced, and the only reason that anyone got out safe was because the dogs started going crazy. Like my sister, my brother, my dad, like Lance wouldn't be working for us now. Like all of them would have been gone if it wasn't for the dog alerting them at that point. But that's what it was, because only the dog and their crazy senses were able to do it. So, but that doesn't mean that if they have a dog, you don't need a carbon dioxide detector. So I'm not saying that, but it's silent, and that's the thing that you want to make sure. And I'm happy this whole 10-year sealed battery thing, like that, these tenants take out the batteries. You guys see that happen all the time. And so I'm happy that's the thing. All right. So that's very important. That's how you end up on the news. GC Realty Development had a fire in 2009, and it was in the city, and we had a tenant pass a little baby, like a 4-year-old die, and a 70-year-old grandmother die, and they couldn't get out. It was a kitchen fire, and it was a horrible thing. The news went out there. News always throws out there that there's no working smoke. And I was so mad because I knew there was. And the only thing that saved us was we had a CHA inspection like the week before, and we passed everything. Like we all know we wouldn't pass if we didn't have those things inside. And that's what helped stop any type of lawsuit. But that's like the worst thing in ever. Like I would never want to ever be not even be on the news because of that, but responsible for that. So that's why it's such a big thing. And these owners right now, if we're, you know, we have to push to put these in there, it adds a little chunk of money on the other people that haven't turned over yet. But like if they're putting 10-year sealed batteries in, how long is that good for, Natalia?
Years.
What's that?
10 years.
Perfect. Yeah, you're right. So it's like, hey, owner, I don't have to bother you for 10 more years. Put the $273 worth of stuff in there and we're good. You're going to have 3 tenants in the next 10 years at least. So we won't have to touch this again. So keep that in mind when you're bringing that up as one, it's the law. And then 2, like, it's kind of like something that you can easily get done and not have to deal with for a while. Peepholes. Why are peepholes good?
Safety to see who's coming, who's trying to get in your unit.
Yeah. Does anyone know the city law around peepholes? This is a city of Chicago law or ordinance or zone.
I think you got to be able to see through it unless there's a window that shows the front door from the side.
Yeah. So like the transient, like if there's something on the side, you don't have to have it. But if there is, you have to have it. If there isn't, you have to peephole. So think about all of our apartments. Like technically, if we don't have peepholes in there, they're supposed to have that. That's a safety concern. Locks, you know, locks are something that is always a safety concern. You know, loose locks. You know, locks are less of an issue these days because we put our locks on there for the most part. But sometimes they get loose, and we got to make sure they're done. Labeling the units. Sometimes you got to see on the turnover we're labeling the front door. Why is that important? Why is that a safety issue?
Fire department.
Okay, what does that mean?
So like unit 3 calls, say, hey, I'm in unit 3, I've got a fire. They've got to know where unit 3 is.
Yeah. If you have a fire, it's probably less of an issue, which unit 3 is, but either so the medical services, you know, think about this, our 2N, 1 south, 1S, 2 south, like, man, it's all a mess sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't even make sense. Some of the labeling, 2B, 2C, 2F, like, so you walk down these hallways and if they're not labeled right, and they're trying to find the person that's literally, you got minutes to save him from his stroke or heart attack, stuff like that. Like that's something that becomes a safety issue. At the same time too, people, you know, going to the wrong doors, you know, maybe have one neighbor that's a little more social than the other neighbor and then they're just bothering them and all of a sudden they feel harassed. So, you know.
Also from a liability thing too, I've had situations where we sent a tech out to a unit and it wasn't labeled correctly. And so he walked into the wrong unit and onto someone.
Yeah, internally. Now that person in that unit, the first thing they feel is like, how do you got my key?
Yeah.
And those people sometimes don't ever feel safe again in those scenarios. Tripping hazards. What type of tripping hazards out there that we want to make sure we take care of?
Wires.
What was that?
Floorboards.
Floorboards.
Wires.
Wire, yeah, you shouldn't have too many wires running across.
Potholes.
Potholes, yes. Alejandro said loose steps.
Stairs. Yeah.
We're literally dealing with a lawsuit right now at 103rd Street. I'm not sure we could have done anything to prevent it, but at the time, you know, we've been dealing with this court case for 2 years now because she had a broken step.
Loose carpet or carpet that needs to be stretched, maybe.
Yeah. Thresholds. Yeah, the little kind of gap between the 2 rooms. Missing thresholds. You know, right now we're dealing with. We actually had a vendor install too big of a threshold where it became a tripping hazard. So they're going to hopefully be out there fixing that today. What else around tripping?
Concrete sidewalks when the pavers.
Yeah.
One job. Kind of
yeah, I think sometimes we get into these pavers, you know, them just being loose. And maybe you got some of these pavers on steps and you go to step on the edge of it and you kind of go for it. What about lighting?
Outside lighting for safety?
I don't know. Where does lighting fall into the safety side of things?
Common area lobbies,
Common area.
Entryway.
Always.
parking lots.
Yeah. Why are those important? What's the safety concern or what are you trying to prevent there?
Falls, trying to
a well-lit entryway is a deterrent to like burglaries and all the kind of stuff, because you got a good line of sight from the neighbors and from the police or whatever.
Yeah. What do police always say? Police always say, crime is they usually go to the least, how do I say it? Like, it's usually an opportunity. Like you put your purse on there on the seat, there's a good chance that you're just kind of creating opportunity for someone to, you leave your keys in the car, and it just makes it that much easier to steal it.
So I have to actually drive and pick up some lock boxes. So I'm in the car. But when I take all those crime-free seminars through all the cities that we have to have those certificates for, there is a big focus on lighting and also landscaping, making sure that bushes are cut and trees are cut and they're not too overgrown. So people can see in and out of their windows and not hide behind like these big overgrown bush structures or weeds. So there's a lot of very interesting things in those crime-free, but lighting is always a big one they talk about.
Anything else on safety?
I would say the M word, organic growth.
Oh, okay. All right. Look at you. Look at you. Disguising it. I like it. Discoloration.
I think back to Shay's point, like different departments communicating with each other. With PCRs, we've got techs out in the field that see something and then they document it and something else has to happen. Checking Podio because someone might put something in their portal versus call on the phone for an emergency. Somebody texting something where they don't feel safe in that folio after hours, and we check that now. We do random checks of that just to make sure that we're providing the GC Realty experience at all times. Next step, work orders. Big water intrusion and the roof's fixed. Good, we're done. No, we're not. The drywall's soaked and it's turning into the M word, as Shania said. All these things require people to think and communicate with each other, and I think that we do really well with that at GC.
All right. See something, say something. I like it. All right, cool. So the one thing that I took away this week, or I kind of processed in my mind, is, Kyle, let me ask you a question. Has a client ever said to you, this list is just too long. I don't want to do this many items?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, but is that the real problem they have? Are they really like, oh my God, I wish we had less items to do? Is that really what their pain point is?
That's money.
Yeah. So I want to make sure, a lot of times we're learning about the why right now, but the why for these clients is usually not like, oh my gosh, I just wish your techs can do less work for, that's never usually it. So it's usually the pricing, right? And making sure we have good pricing, and maybe that's not for us to solve here today, but I just want to make sure that we solve the right problem as we're focusing on standards and making sure that we're having our clients do things. Is it, yesterday, so here's an example. I discovered, a new client came to me and Eduardo. It's like, hey, we're trying to install 3 CO combos sealed in an apartment. It's like, man, we really don't need that. We need 2 smoke detectors sealed and we need 1 CO. So to cover the law. And the price was no longer $300. It went down to, I think, whatever, it comes down to like $220 then at that point. And then so it wasn't, we were following the standards, but we weren't necessarily following T. Or we were just doing too much, I guess, in that sense. And then so it wasn't even about like, hey man, let's put 1 less smoke detector. It was more of like, let's price it the right way. And that was a big win yesterday. And we kind of opened up something that no one's been talking about. They're not even pricing out individual 10-year smokes. They're just replacing them all with combos. So that's something I'm working out with the team. But think about those type of things when you're looking at price versus cost. Or scope versus cost and all that stuff. I know paint's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole today with you guys on a Friday afternoon. We'll do that. That's for another day. But any other questions on safety?
I do have a question. What if there's a building, it's a multifamily building, and they're like inoperable, right? So they have to actually come down and open the door. I know there's some owners that don't want to replace. Some of those systems are really old and we don't even have nobody can fix them or repair them and they're expensive. I know this has come up for leasing a couple of times. So what kind of safety, are there windows at those properties, Ashley? Are there any sort of, hole peepholes that they can look through? How do we ensure their safety when there's an intercom buzzer system that's not functional?
For some of the buildings, for this particular building that I remember on, I think Eberhard, you have to go through 2 main doors and a gate. And the outside gate was the one that's opened. And it was in a not so up and coming area. So that was something to think about, as well as like their packages will be just thrown over the gate that anybody can just open. So I mean, they do have peepholes in their unit, in the building common area when you walk in. But yeah, so that was a very concerning thing for a couple of tenants or prospects that came. I don't know what we do, but I think, yeah, I don't know. We had some of the white bells out there, so people were able to ring the bell, but again, somebody has to come down all the way down from the 3rd floor, 2nd floor to let their person in.
Yeah, no, we have to look at some of these things closer. I know exactly the problem you talk about there. We tried to solve that with some sort of sample technology last year with Kyle and I. So no, I agree. That's something that going forward, we have to look closer at those circumstances based on everything, based on the company we want to be. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm in. All right, cool. I'm going to leave you guys with a challenge going into the weekend. So it's Friday afternoon. This is one thing that makes us the company that we are is our ability to get new clients. A lot of our new clients and online reputation is out there based on our reviews that we have. And I want to offer this between now and then today, Sunday. Anyone that gets a 5-star Google review with your name in it, you get a $20 gift card. So I don't care if you get 10 of them. I don't care if you get 1 of them. I don't care if you get 0 of them. But I want to throw that incentive out there between now and then. Get your name in there, and so I know who to send that gift card to. And if you get them to reference some sort of service, if you get them to reference anything, that's cool. But yeah,
Between now and when?
Between now and Sunday. So I was going to push it between the end of the day. I'll give you the weekend to work on some extra credit. We'll call it if you're bored this weekend. So
am I included?
Yeah, you're included. Stay away from those Indian hackers, though. Like, you can't be calling those Indian hackers. I know you know. So cool. So you guys, challenge accepted. You guys down? Is that cool?
Let's do it.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, have an awesome weekend. I always appreciate you guys taking this time with me. I'm enjoying these. So, but I'm enjoying having more of the conversation than it is preaching. So thank you for being involved and participating. That means a lot to me.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy Friday.
Happy
Ciao.
birthday.